Good morning and welcome to the AM News. President Akufo-Addo has called for tolerance in the religious community, especially the current standoff between the authorities of Wesley Girls High School and some Muslim parents whose wards were not allowed to fast during Ramadan. Speaking at the National Eid al-Fitr prayer, the president assured the education authorities are working assiduously with religious leaders from the Christian and Muslim communities in Ghana to come up with an amicable solution.
Throughout the years, the schools have by and large managed to find a reasonable, balanced atmosphere to enable our young people to flourish. And this has served us well. The schools have evolved and adapted their practices to suit the times. And I would urge that we do not turn them into the places to fight ideological and religious battles. Our young people deserve a peaceful atmosphere to be able to deal with the many challenges of studying and acquiring knowledge. Parents, certainly, must have a keen interest in the schools into whose care they entrust their children. But may I plead with all of us that we keep the tolerance that has served us so well in matters of religion. I'm happy to state that in the specific case of the incident at one of our greatest schools, Wesley Girls High School, which has given rise to the recent discourse on religion, the authorities, that is the Ministry of Education under its new minister, the Honorable Dr. Yao Educhu, Member of Parliament for Busumche, the leaders of the Christian and Muslim communities, and the leadership of the school are engaged in solemn discussions about the way forward. And I'm very hopeful that a satisfactory solution will be found for one and all.
While Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu is asking Ghanaians to guard against religious chauvinism, the Tamale South MP told JoyNews on the sidelines of the Eid celebrations in the Northern Regional Capital that he believes the decision of the Wesley Girls High School, which has been seconded by the Methodist Church, has the potential to spark an interfaith row in the country. He spoke with my colleague Manuel Koranting at the Lamishegu Park in Tamale.
We need to guard against the emergence of religious chauvinism in Ghana, and we must all jealously protect and preserve the peace of our country, the harmony that exists. Ghana has a reputation of peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance. We do not need to engage in any action that will undermine that respected reputation of our country as an oasis of peace. We should not sacrifice a peace on the altar of religious differences, but fundamental human rights and freedoms, including the right to freedom of belief and freedom of conscience, are not divisible rights. And therefore, every Ghanaian is entitled to the full benefits of those rights, including Muslim girls and Muslim boys. We simply demand respect to that inalienable constitutional right of the right to belief and the right to freedom of conscience. It is not a right that is divisible. And as I said, it's important that we preserve the peace of the country, we continue to coexist, and we continue to tolerate each other even in our differences. Let's not undermine the peace of the country on the altar of religious superiority.
But how do you react to the argument that indeed, just as we talk about rights, the church, for instance, also has a right to establish institutions to further its cause and so on? That's the argument that the Methodist Church, for instance, makes, that this is a school that we have established to, as it were, expand and propagate the message of the Methodist Church. And for that reason, they're claiming that right. Is this something that you don't agree with?
I said every Ghanaian child, including the Muslim child, has the right to the benefit guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution, including the right to freedom of belief and freedom of conscience. That right, in my view, is vested in that young man. He has that right.
Some journalists with CTFM, City TV, just quickly, I just want to pick your thoughts on that. But they make a point that he was filming, in an unauthorized zone, a security zone. You've heard that. When you heard it, what was your initial reaction?
Nana Addo Dankwa and his MPP government is reducing Ghana to a police state. And that is not acceptable. The rise of journalism to film is to provide evidence of what they have seen and to report what is real and what is practical, what is wrong. I think the excesses are getting too much. This government must watch it. I least expected that this will happen under Nana Akufo-Addo as president of Ghana. He probably was only preaching and preserving fundamental human rights and freedoms, only seeking office of president, but not serving with respect for those rights and freedoms as president. That's very disappointing, and those journalists are entitled to practice their trade and vocation freely without any interference. Independence Square.
Well, this was at the National Security Installation at Blue Gate.
National security installation, and it is a way that the arrest could have been done, not in a manner which protects the dignity guaranteed in Article 15 of the Constitution. Must they read them in that Gestapo style, as if they were reading another Radio Gold?
The Ashanti Region Chief Imam Ustaz Ahmed Seidu says the Muslim community will resist all efforts to hijack the sovereignty of the nation. This comes on the back of refusal of authorities at Wesley Girls Senior High School to allow a Muslim student exercise her faith by fasting in the period of Eid al-Fitr. Nana Yao Jima has more in the following report.
The decision of the Wesley Girls Senior High School in the Central Region to restrain students from fasting has sparked a national conversation. Parents of the young lady had stormed the school to withdraw their daughter for the reason. Speaking at the Eid al-Fitr celebration in Kumasi, the Ashanti Regional Chief Imam said such negative attitude has long been held against the religion. Imam Seidu wants the Christian Council and Conference of Catholic Bishops to work towards finding a lasting solution.
As we are all aware, Ghana is a secular state and shall continue to remain as such. We will resist all effort to hijack sovereignty of this nation. We wish to state categorically that the bullying treatment which was meted out to this innocent young Muslim lady as a scapegoat epitomizes a tip of iceberg of which Christian world in Ghana are harboring against us.
Imam Ustaz Seidu further advised the youth against taking the laws into their hands as they fight what he calls injustice in the country.
I entreat all Muslims to remain calm and resolute in the fight against social injustice that is currently ongoing. We should be law-abiding and do not take laws into our own hands.
Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah encouraged Muslims to continue to exercise restraint as government works towards bringing finality to the issues.
I admire the way we've resolved issues involving various religious groups. And I pray that the issue of the student should be resolved in a peaceful manner as we've always done in this country.
Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer for the New Patriotic Party, Nana Mampoma, joined the Member of Parliament for Kwadaso constituency, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, at the Kokode School Park to celebrate Eid with Muslims in the community.
Osma for Paul Nekai say Yanini Penny Antanasi asumdwum. Ye ba ya ye nuane wo mo ye ba na ya ba bede Nyankopon ase mo mabrabo se nyame ahwe won so.
The NPP Women's Organizer requested prayers for the country as she donated some items to the Muslims. For Joy News, Nana Ochima reporting.
Commuters on the Tamale Industrial Area, Nyohini Road, have begun a campaign to get the deteriorated stretch fixed. This follows an accident on Wednesday, May 13th, which claimed the life of a pregnant woman. According to the protesters, several pleas to get city authorities to fix the road have fallen on deaf ears. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugri reports.
The stretch in question is about 200 meters long. Several accidents have happened within the enclave, with 2 occurring simultaneously yesterday. Vehicles continue to break down within the stretch. Speaking to Joy News, road users said the situation is causing unnecessary inconvenience when plying the road. A car mechanic and a welder, Prince Ayoko Dokurugu, questioned how many people authorities in the area want to hear dead before they take action.
Look, I'm a mechanic, I'm a welder, I'm a blacksmith. I've fixed several trucks here who has locked on this pit. It's no more a manhole, a pothole. It's now a pit. It's a dam on the road. Why are we going through this? You know, we have leaders in Tamale. We have Tamale mayor. The mayor of Tamale is here. The regional minister is there. Our chiefs are there. I mean, opinion leaders, assemblymen are here, and everyone is looking at this pit, this manhole, to kill people before they come out to say it's an accident. What is an accident? Are we going to wait for the problem to be for the problem to destroy people's life before we come out to fix it? What is the responsibilities of these leaders that I'm talking about? What is their responsibilities? At the end of the month, do they get paid or not? What are they get paid for? What is the government paying them for? And the government itself, what are they doing? We have the urban roads here. We have the Ghana highways in Tamale. All these particular government institutions is in Tamale, watching this pit to kill people.
Another resident, Abdul Razak, said if Ghanaians are calling on government to fix their country as being campaigned, it is because of simple things like potholes left unattended to.
I don't know. We are pleading with the leaders. And this road here has been causing problems for us here. It caused accidents here. Yesterday, there's a pregnant woman here lost her life here. There is an accident here. So when we are talking of fixing the country, this is what we mean when we talk about fixing the country. It caused a lot of economic hardship for us here. This road links to the stadium to the Kumasi Accra Highway. And when you get to the runabout there's also another dump there, if I may describe it. There's also another hole at the runabout, just in the runabout, in the middle of the runabout. And we are pleading with the people in authority to come fix the road for us.
Tricycle operator Ibrahim said the bad nature of the road is affecting their business because they spend several hours when broken vehicles take over the road.
So one way frankly speaking, especially sometimes cars, long vehicles, and move by a bit more tight to buy was so it will mark muchi Jeno Saibazana affect because it will go maybe some 2 or 3 minutes, do it much now more than 30 to 40 minutes. Jenosano, America, the power, young. Frankly speaking, also, it's been your vehicles, it's been my problems abound, because Oban was sharing
poor maintenance culture and population growth are being blamed for the acute water shortage being experienced in some communities in the northern region. The situation is so dire, the only natural source of water for 5 communities in the Savlego district, for instance, has dried up, forcing residents to drink from unwholesome water sources. Prince Apia visited some of the communities enduring the acute water shortage.
In the rural water sector, we estimate that about 63% of the people have access to water, even though other statistics have put a figure around 80%. And so we know that a number of the communities that are under our jurisdiction and are supposed to have water do not currently have water. But let me quickly add that the supply of water to communities under our jurisdiction is a function of 3 major factors. It's about investment, the inflows of investment into the subsector. The other thing is population growth. If you look at Kwanta, for instance, they have a water facility. The thing is that the population has outgrown the facility, and so there's an urgent need for expansion of the facility to unserved areas around Damako. And then the other important factor in water supply management is operation and maintenance. Most of these communities that have come into the news as not having water, if you actually go to the ground, most of them have been provided water facilities, maybe some 5 years ago, maybe some 10 years ago. The problem has been the management model that we adopted when we started the National Community Water and Sanitation Program of handing over all the water systems to the communities to manage. So how to sustainably raise revenue from the management of these water systems and keep the revenue so that if the water system breaks down, they will be able to immediately fix it, has been a very big challenge. And that's why CWA, since 2017, has embarked on a reform to ensure that we become a public utility and manage at least the pipe water system, because those are complex systems that need a certain level of skill. And so the management of those facilities should be done at a much more professional level.
And that's it for the news this morning. My name is Enima Enimado. The news review is coming up shortly, and Winston Amwa will join me for that.
Enima Enimado is here with me. Good morning, Enima.
Hi, Winston. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Well, we're doing fine. It's a Friday.
We have abandoned our radio station.
Yes, we're having fun on TV.
Yes, we are.
While Benjamin Akakbo and Mama V. Owusu-Abuaje are also having fun on the Super Morning Show. Yes. Let's see how it goes after today, and then we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get into the daily graphic for today that says, keep tolerance in schools. President appeals to stakeholders. I know the president yesterday, while addressing our Muslim brothers and sisters, talked about the need to keep tolerance in our schools. He talked about, the Wesley Girls situation and how the Minister of Education, together with, Muslim leaders and the Methodist Church, were looking, in meetings to try and resolve that particular issue. It's important the president is speaking about it. Many have called on him to say something about it. He's spoken about it. He's talked about the fact that we should keep tolerance in our schools. And, this is not a place for us to turn it into a battleground and be engaged in ideological, issues. It's good the president is speaking about it. Look, I think that both Wesley Girls and our Muslim brothers and sisters should find a solution to this. It doesn't hurt if a child says, I want to fast. It also doesn't hurt if the school says you can't fast. There are several ways that you could go about it. At the end of it all, we need a solution that works for both parties.
Yeah.
But if a child decides to fast, it doesn't hurt the school in any way. Particularly for those who've already been fasting, it doesn't hurt them in any way. So allow them to fast. Allow them. I mean, if you say going to the dining hall is a school function, no problem. I mean, when we were in secondary schools, you had to be in the dining hall. But you had to be in the dining hall, but you're not compelled to eat. So there were times we went to the dining hall, we never ate. So if a child wants to do that, that shouldn't be a problem.
I think, and then the school is also required to then make allowances for when the child breaks their fast. Because that's probably outside of dining hall hours, right? And I think that also, if I remember well, the time that they break their fast is probably around the time when we're getting ready to go to prep. So that kind of disrupts the prep time. I mean, there are different sides of the arguments. I went to Wesley Girls, and I've been very quiet on this issue because obviously it's difficult when your school is in the middle of such a back and forth. And of course, we love our school very much, and we treasure and we value what it means and the fact that it is one of the best schools in Ghana. And so to see it in the middle of this, kind of back and forth is very painful because we do hold our values very dear. So it's difficult. There are definitely two sides to this, and passions are raging very high. I hope that they can come to some sort of, impasse where both sides can find a place where there's peace and there's some sort of understanding. And I am being diplomatic because I do have very strong views about it, but I'm going to reserve them.
Let me just chip this in because and many of these pastors or reverend ministers of the Methodist Church have studied religion. One of the things they tell you when it comes to studying religion is the fact that, look, you should empathize with any believer. That person who's practicing his faith, and religion is such that when people are committed to it, look, I am saying, let's find, and I agree with you, let's find a solution to this. It doesn't hurt. It does not hurt. Look, when I was in secondary school, there were days we had to go to Dela Cathedral, that's the headquarters of the EP Church. All of us were marched there. If the school could take all of us there, a school can make provision for 24 Muslim students. 24. That's not much. Anyway, President on a 3-nation working visit, and also on the front page, KIA, that's the Kotoka International Airport, enhances COVID-19 protocol following Daily Graphic's report. And so you know that the Daily Graphic reported that some persons who are showing up at the meet and greet area were not wearing face masks. And following that particular report, according to the Daily Graphic, the Ghana Airport Company Limited is ensured that anybody who gets there wears a face mask. And be creators of enabling conditions, Bin Sali urges Muslims. That's on the center spread of the Daily Graphic. And Wesley Girls School brouhaha exaggerated. That's according to the Central Regional Peace Council. And Dr. Evans and Fom laid to rest, all in the Daily Graphic this morning. Anymore.
Okay, let me move on to the Ghanaian Times. The front page is pretty much the same as the Daily Graphic. Don't turn schools into battlegrounds. President advises the public. Wesley Girls fasting saga. Muslims observe the Eid al-Fitr amid COVID-19. There were no centralized prayers, carnivals, outdoor merrymaking in compliance with safety protocols. Probe underway into Ghanaian students' death in Cuba. That's according to the Foreign Ministry. And in the middle center spread, pictures from the Eid al-Fitr celebration in pictures, beautiful pictures. There's a picture that actually is very heartwarming of a little boy helping his little brother to tie the turban for prayers at the Dakuman Mosque, and also a section of the women praying at the Nima Mosque as well. On the back page, Kotoko Pip dwarfs to maintain top spot.
Fabulous.
And only 666 million out of targeted $1.5 billion of oil revenue realized for 2020. I'm sure this is going to have some major ramifications on our economy, because obviously we would have budgeted with what we were expecting to receive. Would you like to give us a short lecture on this?
No.
No lectures today?
No.
Oh.
Today's a Friday.
I'm quite disappointed.
Oh, yes. Sometimes I have to disappoint.
Are you sure?
Sometimes I have to.
Oh, please give us a short lecture. Please. Please.
Oh, today's Friday. Today's Friday, so I don't want to go into lectures and all of that.
Okay, well, that's it for the Ghanaian Time.
Okay, so the Finder for today says inflation rate drops to single digit of 8.5 in April. We're talking about that yesterday. If you look at the Upper West region, I think the inflation rate in the Upper West region was 2%. And that of the Greater Accra region was 12%. So, you add all of this together and the national rate is 8.5. But if you're in the Greater Accra region, you're experiencing a higher inflation than it is in other parts of the country. We're told that, the food inflation reduced, bringing, inflation to a single digit. But for those of you who buy foods, I'm sure you can help us understand whether indeed when you get to the markets, based on what you buy, those prices have been reduced. But also on the front page, Education Ministry to develop policy to guide faith-based schools. I like Ghana. Here we develop a policy. No problem. We're waiting.
Policy development experts.
That's according to Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. And President Akufo-Addo to embark on official visits to France, Belgium, South Africa. Schools not places for ideological religious battles. Let's maintain inter-religious coexistence to preserve peace. And that's President Akufo-Addo advising Ghanaians. And let's keep our piety, sacrifice, and generosity beyond Ramadan. Dr. Baumia. And also here, Chief of Staff urges public institution PROs to dominate public information discourse. Let me get to the center spread. It says, ratify ILO Convention 190 to protect workers' action aid. 167 cocoa farmers receive fair trades living income premium. I saw this on cocoapost.com. And also, new agreement between EU and OACPS, a global turning point. Great, that's it for the Finder.
Okay, on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning, Oponi backed Agongo to defraud Cocoa Board, says the judge. Local LPG marketing companies appeal to government. Otunfo is backing the president to stop Galamsey, and Nana calls for truce in Wegehe Pass. Let me do some international stories on page 5 of the Daily Guide this morning. Hamas-Israel fighting escalates even amid truce efforts. Kenya police fire tear gas at pro-Palestinian protests. South African-born entrepreneur pledges $200 million for African vaccines. So that's South African-born pharmaceutical entrepreneur Patrick Soon-Shiong. He has said that his family's foundation will spend $211 million to help develop a vaccine production in South Africa. So for Africa. So that's.
This is what we should have done earlier.
Exactly.
We should have done this long ago. One of the things about COVID-19 is that it was, something we all did not expect, but it also, provided an avenue for us to solve some of the problems we have in this country. In Ghana, the president talked about the need to industrialize locally as a result of this. We saw, funds being made available for some Ghanaian entities to produce sanitizers and rubbing alcohol and face masks locally right here in Ghana. That was good. We've talked about Agenda 111. Unfortunately, that has not started as we envisaged. But that should have, told us that.
Should have escalated to vaccine.
Yes, vaccine development. Let's do it. But anyway, we're actually.
Well, it takes money. Money.
We're trying with the herbal one. So we'll try it. Let's see.
We'll see how it goes. Well, this is going to be happening in South Africa. So, but the Ivory Coast Prime Minister is in hospital in Paris. He's said to be having medical tests. Okay, well, that's it. The ex-First Lady accused of improper Mugabe burial. So former Zimbabwe's First Lady has been summoned to appear before a traditional court over the improper burial of the late President Robert Mugabe. And also no injuries after 2 planes collide mid-air. And this is in the southeast of Denver in the U.S. state of Colorado. Let's do some entertainment. The middle page of the Daily Guide. So Hajia for real shocks with new music, God's Child. Socialite.
Which one is that? Is it a Say What? Have you heard that one? You Say What?
All you heard in the song was Say What.
So the song, no, she was doing, and this then she was doing freestyle, but all I hear is Say What.
Say What, I see. I'm not sure, but Mona Montrage, popularly known as Hajia for real, has launched a new song. Well, she's out with a new one called God's Child. It's her 3rd song. And she said, "Happy Salah, this is her gift to you." So I think it came out yesterday. Oh. So I don't know.
I'd love to hear that song too.
Yes, okay, say what?
But normally when I hear people sing, like, I ask them, singing to, is it by force?
Listen, so by please. Dancing is it by force, but you're always always forcing your dancing.
No, that's my dancing. I've told you that. It's for every kind of music. That's a rich man's dance.
All right, Winston. Rapper Drake has emerged the Billboard Artist of the Decade. Yes. Are you going to give us a line from one of Drake's songs as well?
Lie.
Okay. AFDB group promotes women's entrepreneurship. BOG appoints primary dealers, bond market specialist. Otunfo receives UMB CEO. That's the middle page of the Daily Guide. Let me do the back page. Some football. Chelsea City final move to Porto. So the 2021 Men's Champions League final between Manchester City and Chelsea, it was due to take place in Istanbul on May 29th, has been moved to Portugal because people in the UK are not allowed to fly into Turkey due to COVID-19 situation in the country. With 6,000 fans from both City and Chelsea allowed in the stadium, the UK government's decision to place Turkey on its red list would have prohibited fans from attending the showpiece finale, which led to the UEFA looking for alternative options. So they've moved it to Portugal so that people can go and watch. And let's go to wins from title. So who are you supporting, the Chelsea City final?
Well, I just want to have a good match. Go and watch and see who wins.
You're saying go and watch as if you're going to the Portugal song.
No,
is it not
no, I watch it.
So you mean from your bedroom to your living room?
Sharp. But it looks like Thomas Tuchel has a bit of an upper hand over Pep Guardiola. So
who won the last one? Because they just played last.
Oh yes, Chelsea won, and I mean they also beat Man City in the FA Cup semi-final. It looks like Chelsea has a bit of edge over Man City now. But a final is a one-off game. You can never tell. How it goes. So let's see.
Okay.
Those of us who will be the neutrals would enjoy. Your team is not engaged in it. I would have played in the final before then. We play in the Europa League final.
When is that?
Manchester on the 29th of May. Manchester United.
It's the same day.
Is it the same day? No, this is in June, I'm sure.
No. 26th. Yours is the 26th. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, 26th. Even though we lost last night.
Sorry.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, sometimes he wants us to sack him, but his time will come. Let's get to the Business and Financial Times. He only has 1 year left. So, and in 2017, after the atomic gas explosion, there was talk about bulk distribution points when it comes to LPG and all of that. Now, the LPG marketers fear losing 60 million Ghana cedis investments nearly 4 years after the atomic junction disaster. And they're saying that as a result, there's been no license for the opening of new retail points. And they fear that this money that was pumped into it may just go waste. Another fear when it comes to LPG is the consumption itself, because we've seen a reduction in in consumption right from 2020 till now. So here we are saying we want more people to consume, LPG and protect our environment. Unfortunately, the pricing is such that people just don't want to and are resorting to other forms of, fuel. But let's get to the front page again still. And Ghana Health Service others train health workers on Laval source management in Upper East Region.
What was the papers yesterday?
No, they didn't come yesterday. So this was in the papers yesterday, but they were not understands yesterday because it was a holiday.
Yeah. Okay.
Agric receives less than 4% of bank's credit in 2020 fourth quarter, despite growing past all sectors. And low food prices push April inflation back to single digits. So that's still the inflation story. Let's get to the center spread. What is it? BNFT weekend that talks about Dokoyos and delivering life-saving medical supplies to hard-to-reach areas, one drone at a time. And the back page says, danger, Momo agents not adhering to COVID-19 protocols. And the story about low food prices pushing April inflation back to single digit is also at the back page.
Okay, so on the front page of the Daily Statesman this morning, NPP calls for coal heads and Wesley girls on pass again. This is on the front page of all the newspapers. No religious battles in our schools. President admonishes stakeholders. Government alone can't fight Galamsey, says Otunfo. And Akufo-Addo to embark on 3-nation post-COVID recovery visits. What does that even mean? Let me find that story. It's supposed to be on page 2. Okay, here it is. President Akufo-Addo is expected to leave the country on Sunday for a 9-day 3-nation official working visit to France, Belgium, and South Africa. So according to a news release from Jubilee House, the visits are part of efforts the president is making to re-engage with the rest of the world following the onset of the pandemic and highlight Ghana once again as a country with an impressive business-friendly atmosphere with bright economic prospects for the future. Don't you feel like, considering that there's a third wave of COVID-19 happening, he should be doing this by Zoom? As opposed
yeah, COVID-19 has taught us to do things.
As opposed to be going around doing this.
Well,
anyway.
but once he's going, and I'm sure that
he'll be safe, of course.
He'll be adhering to all the protocols. I'm sure
he'll also have taken the second vaccine.
Second jab, before he leaves.
Yeah, before he leaves. So he will be doing that. Speaking of the second vaccine, apparently we're going to be starting soon, aren't we?
On the 19th of May. So we can go for our second because we took it on the 2nd of March. We're part of the first persons to have it. So, yes.
So 19th of May. And then we can, well, I mean, apparently in the UK, if you've had your second, you can take off your mask when you're indoors.
Yeah, you can.
So maybe looking forward to being able to do that in our bubble.
Yeah, we should be able to.
In our bubble, yeah, just in our bubble. That should be nice. So that's the Daily Statesman. And the back page of the Daily Statesman, some more football. Arteta, Arsenal boss, angry and says, media tried to put things on me I never said.
Arteta should stop complaining. His performances are not the best.
Yeah, but the thing about Arsenal is that regardless of their coach, they're still Arsenal.
Listen, if you're a supporter of Arsenal, Charlie, I respect you so much. You're a very patient person.
Patient. You need to have an Arsenal boyfriend and husband in your life. Very loyal, very patient.
So if you have an Arsenal boyfriend, he should never be your ex. This morning we're talking about that, but the way you're talking about having an Arsenal boyfriend in your life makes that exciting. But let's get to the Daily Dispatch. It's been a while since I saw it. The
Daily Dispatch?
The Daily Dispatch. And it says, do not turn schools into places to fight religious and ideological battles. Same story. Netright commends EC boss, and government will help ISD to enhance flow of information, chief of staff, and health workers trained on larval source management in Upper East region. And back page, Dr. Preku urges Muslims to pray for peace in Ghana. And the Dispatch says a 2024 presidential aspirant of the New Patriotic Party. Okay. So it means that Preku wants to be president according to the Daily Dispatch. They focus on elections most of the time. So, and government will resource the Information Service Department to enhance information dissemination. Same story here.
Okay, well, interesting one on the front page of the Republic Press. GJA president talks trash as he condemns City FM journalist. And this story was actually taken from Joy FM. So president of the Ghana Journalists Association says filming at the national security premises by City FM journalist Caleb Kuda was in breach of the association's code of ethics. Speaking on Joy FM on Wednesday, Roland Afelmoni indicated that the journalist in question accessed information through a means which flies in the face of Article 13 of the GJA Code of Ethics.
Well, I listened to that particular
interview. Stories continued on page 3. Okay, sure, go ahead.
I listened to that particular interview, and let me be very honest with you. Roland Afil-Money was unable to defend that position. Because in that same code of ethics, you're told that when doing a story in the interest of the nation, you can use unconventional methods in doing so. I mean, for instance, so the article says you should be straightforward, except. And then Evans asked him, so wasn't this in the interest of the nation? And that he shouldn't go ahead to do. He said, okay, but the end justifies the means. If he had succeeded, fine. But now that he didn't succeed, he should have known. He says,
But did he not succeed?
He succeeded in filming, except that he was picked up later, and I'm sure that's what Afil-Money was referring to. But to be very honest with you, Afil-Money's comments were just not the best. I mean, not coming from the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, not at all.
Oh, well. Shall we go to some online stories then? Just before that, though, let me run quickly the front pages of the Custodian newspaper, and then we can go to My Joy Online. So on the front page of the Custodian, disseminates government success to Ghanaians, Framer to PROs, high-quality Jata cement to stabilize prices. And I love that that's what the introduction of Jata cement is seemingly meant to do. I've been seeing it being advertised at 30 Ghana cedis. I think the whole point is to drive.
You not come up with a price yet.
Yeah, I know, but the whole point is to drive all the prices down.
But I see something in all of this. Now, social media is giving the man a price. So
that everything else can come down.
But the good thing also is that if Jata comes in and reduces the price, look, it will lead to competition. And I mean,
which will be good.
The good thing about competition is that the consumer benefits. So those who are thinking of building homes would actually get to Jata and buy their cement, and I'm sure that it would lead Dangote, Diamond, and Gasem all to think about reducing their prices.
And then we can build.
We can build. That's good news for us. So it's good that they've gotten into the markets.
So great stuff. Congratulations to Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, owner of Jata Cement. I know that this has been a long time coming, long time coming. So congratulations for that. Let's uphold our religious tolerance. Akufo-Addo pleads, and LSM to address gaps in malaria control interventions. And Somalia rejects Mahama as AU envoy. Pretty unfortunate there. That's it for the newspapers this morning. But let's go to My Joy Online. Don't reduce our schools to ideological and religious fighting grounds, Akufo-Addo tells religious leaders. That's one story there. Some of the other stories on My Joy Online. Okay, so ASEPA calls for the removal of GJA President Afil-Money. I wonder why. Did you know why they're calling for his removal?
Because of his comments.
Of the comments
he made. But the man's tenure has ended, actually.
So
he's not eligible for re-election.
So yeah, okay. So almost like Trump. Over 90% of vehicles at national security premises distributed. Former Maslock boss. I won't hesitate to sanction chiefs engaged in galamsey. That's according to Asante Hene. Social media users react to DSP Azuku's alleged role in assault on City FM's journalist. City FM's journalist committed no crime in filming at national security premises. That's Samson Anyenini speaking there. Some more stories on My Joy Online. City FM journalist broke GJA code of conduct. That's Afil-Money. We've talked about that story already. And fix the country. Hashtag. That was the chief of staff, Framer Opari, talking about being measured in our expectations of Akufo-Addo. We did that story yesterday. More stories on myjoyonline.com. And remember that we will be talking a little later on about your relationship with your ex, whether you should be friends with your ex or not. What's your take on it, Winston?
You should be friends. I see absolutely nothing wrong with being friends with your ex. It doesn't hurt. You're not enemies because you're no longer together. I do not know how the relationship may have ended, but whatever it is, I try to make friends and not enemies. So I wouldn't be fighting with an ex just because we're no longer together.
I see.
How about you?
Well, I don't believe in being friends with your ex.
Oh.
So, yes.
Why?
Because you know what they say about lie momos?
So that is your fear.
It's not a fear. I think,
or there's a possibility of it happening.
I think that when you're moving forward, you don't move forward looking in your rearview mirror. So I think you leave the things that are in the past in the past.
Could it also be
and
sometimes?
You move forward. Don't kind of give us a lecture.
I'm asking you a question.
Come and preach. Could it also be? Could it also be? Like,
I'm asking you. So that's the question. Could it also be that there are certain things about your ex that you can't get, that you liked so much, that you can no longer get in your current relationship?
Not necessarily.
There's a possibility of wanting to have that again.
Not necessarily. I just believe in leaving the things in the past in the past. Okay, so I'm not really friends with any of my exes. I'm friends with my ex-husband out of necessity because we're raising kids together.
But for that?
I mean, but apart from that, I don't know if we would be friends because I'm not actually friends with any of my exes. Just because I really don't see the point. I don't feel that it helps a current relationship to be invested emotionally with people that you've shared your life with in the past. But that conversation is for later. And obviously, you know, there are two sides to this argument.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Of course you don't. And, you know, people agree with Winston, people agree with me, which is why it should be an interesting conversation. And we would love to hear which side you are on. This is an argument which we know.
I know they're going to be on my side.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll have that conversation a little later on. We're also having a conversation on something else. My mind has completely gone blank.
About happiness. We're talking about how happy you are. The fact that Ghana's dropped 30 places in the World Happiness Index.
We're 95th now.
95th now. We're 65th. Previously, we're 95th now. And one of the things they measured, last year was handling of COVID-19 and its impact on the population and how government has been able to mitigate, those effects.
Okay, so you can leave your comments on Facebook for us, JoyNews, on TV.
Yes,
we'd love to hear from you. And why aren't you happy anymore? Is it perhaps because the guache doesn't quite taste the same? The shito doesn't quite taste the same. You know, when you buy kenke and pepper, the pepper doesn't quite taste the same. You know, the taste of things is just not the same. When you make chicken soup, it doesn't smell the same.
Oh, how?
You know, akoko besa doesn't smell the same. Like, for me, I feel like that's why my happiness in my life has reduced.
Well, for you, I understand, because I know how you do all the mixes in the morning and everything. You know, when you come to work and all the packages and I know.
And at the moment, I'm on a diet, which has reduced my happiness levels by like...
That's a choice you made.
100%. But all those conversations coming up, don't go anywhere.
Hello everyone, welcome to AM Sports on AM Show. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Kumasi Asante Kotoko have extended their lead on the summit of the Premier League table to 4 points, having beaten a Botswana Dwarfs by 2-1. And how important is the two friendly matches for the Black Stars? Head coach CK Akono has been speaking about it, and he's also been giving us the criterion for selecting players to play for a senior national team. In England, Liverpool had to come from a goal down to defeat Manchester United by 4-2, and that has boosted their chances of playing in the UEFA Champions League next season. But first, let's start with CK Akono's decision to name a 30-man squad for upcoming friendly matches against Morocco and Ivory Coast. He says these matches will give him an opportunity to assess the strengths and weaknesses of his team as he seeks to build a winning team for the FIFA World Cup qualifiers and African Cup of Nations competitions. The senior national team will play Morocco in Rabat on June 8 before hosting Cote d'Ivoire at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium on June 12. Head coach of the team, CK Akono, believes the opponents provide his team a stern test and expose his weaknesses for the technical team to work on as they seek to build a formidable team for the 2022 African Cup of Nations.
It is important because of the opponents. We will then, after these two friendlies, we will know definitely the strength of the team, what we need to do to improve, and how it will work for us in the coming next matches. And so we take this very, very serious. Very, very important for us to prepare very well and have a good two friendly matches. Yeah.
Mr. Akono said the criterion for selecting players for the national team is based on playing regularly and committed to the national cause.
There are various clubs doing very well, and of course those who are also committed to the national call. These are the criteria we look and we pick players from. Yeah.
However, players such as Lawrence Atizigi, Alfred Duncan are some of the players who enjoy regular club football. But these players were not given a look-in by the technical team. Akuno explained that in as much as they rely on players who are playing regularly and committed to the national cause, other factors also play a role in their decision to invite certain players over others.
The fact that he's playing regularly, that's also, we have, there are a lot of different factors why we don't pick some of the players. Some of the factors I will not be able to, because it's internal, I will not be able to tell you. But there are different factors. Yes, I understand he's doing well, he's playing regularly. But of course, those we've picked are people that we've also have trust in them, we believe in them, and of course, when the chance comes, we will invite him. He has been here a couple of times, under my watch, and therefore, we've picked these players from what we've seen and what we believe in, and that is why he's not here.
The Black Stars were built to play Ethiopia on June 6 in a 2022 World Cup qualifier, but a postponement of the qualification series created a void the Ghana Football Association seek to fill. And 8 home-based players were invited to be part of the senior national team for the 2 friendlies next month. Glasson Awako is one of them. He made his Black Stars debut against Sao Tome and Principe, and he's reveling in another opportunity to play for the senior national team.
It's something that, as a player, I've been looking forward to. I've been working so hard, praying as well, and I should say I thank God that it happened finally. And being there is something that I know, like any other players out there also want to have this experience, because as a player it boosts you, it gives you the confidence, for you to keep pushing and you know that you are doing something good if you get such opportunities. And as a Ghanaian player, we are lucky we have a coach who is looking everywhere for the league, even to have like 12 players invited. It shows that we are doing something good here in the league. So it's a big opportunity for all of us to keep fighting and keep working hard.
And talking of the Ghana Premier League, yesterday appeared to be a day of comebacks for Asante Kotoko and Ediana Stars. The Porcupine Warriors came from a goal down to beat Ebisua Dwarfs 2-1, while Ediana Stars had to recover a 2-goal deficit to win 3-2 against Great Olympics.
And they kick us off, playing from right to left in their traditional all-red outfit. Ebisua Dwarfs are in the yellow and green, and will be playing from left to right. Thank you very much for almost always supporting, and that free kick goes straight into the waiting arms. Full of tricks. Dennis with the drive. Straight goal. Spoke about this earlier on. He was just looking for the opportunity for the trademark drive, and there it is.
My word, Prince. Striker again. First, that back flick pass from Mate.
Habib can drive, not this time. Bodasiru. Floated in by Imoru, too long, but Christopher Nete will be there to receive. Chips it to the 18-yard box, and that's a quick response by Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and they're back in the game, courtesy Emmanuel Jenfi, I beg your pardon.
Look at it again, and Leveto scooting close him enough, and that cross from Christopher Nete, oh, great header. I mean,
Christopher Nete. Fabio wins the upper hand. He still has the ball. Kotoko keep it in play. Nice thinking. Oh, sweet play by Fabio. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko on the threshold of another attack. Again, that cross from him. This could be goal number 2. It is.
We saw that move again. It was promising. It was good. And Osman Ibrahim, you look at it, there was nobody there, and he had all the time to pick that ball. And for what reason, I don't know what Razak Issa was thinking. You see that cross from Osman Ibrahim, and Razak, I don't know, he was in dreamland, he was in no man's land.
Here at the biggest football facility in the capital, but this evening is a club who have shown so much promise in this season's Premier League, Accra Olympics, up against Aduana Stars here. There's a Waku, there's a Muzu now, a Wako! The woodwork to the rescue of Aduana Stars. Got Hafiz to bees now, he lays one for Amuzu, who sends a cross. Oh, good save from goalkeeper Masaudu from the header from Maxwell Abe. That's some instinctive, stupendous goalkeeping from the Aduana shot stopper, but Olympics are still pushing. Here is Abe again. Now to Darlington. Abe! This time he gets it right. Olympics up by 1-0. Second time lucky. Ashikwe! His feet. This should be the second. Mudasiru! Great Olympics! 2-0 off the bench. It's an impact, and the big man is on the score sheet. Maxwell Abbey, nobody picking up the run. It's an intelligent one. Got something little on in the Mudasiru is arriving. Fatal Abdurrahman, and the Aduana have pulled one back. Sam Adams pulls one back for Aduana Stars, and having their confidence up high. So I'll tweet it everybody.
That was a lot better. Ball into the box there, and then the defending is not there. Look at him, he's making a run. It's a poor defending there. Nobody closing in on him.
Aduana Stars coming close. Goalkeeper Stephen Kwaku got a tip on that ball. Abdurrahman Fatal's cross deep inside the Olympics territory, headed away, not out of danger. Brighter J! What a stunning strike from Brighter J, the captain of Aduana Stars.
Acrobatic finish.
That's a trademark finish of Brighter J.
Astonishing.
He's got a goal that got nominated for BBC for a CNN, goal of the week contender. And this is minutes. Fatal Abdurrahman to the near post, and Aduana Stars have taken the lead. Sam Adams with his second of the night, and a third for Aduana Stars, just on the stroke of full time.
This is astonishing. Again, it's another set piece that Olympics can deal with.
The tenacity of Aduana, the temerity to keep going despite losing 2-0 is one thing that is very admirable of this Aduana setup. They're the current defending champions of the Premier League, and to have come back from one of the teams that has been dominant in the Ghana Premier League, leading them 2-0 to win 3-2, is one thing that Aduana fans would be happy about. But now let's hear from Mariano Barreto and Ernest Thompson, head coaches of Kotoko and Dwarfs respectively. The head coach of Ebisua Dwarfs, Ernest Thompson, berated his goalkeeper for that horrendous mistake, while the head coach of Kotoko, Mariano Barreto, praised his team for their attitude and how they were able to come back to win this match.
I'm happy with the game.
Okay.
Because we saw two different 45 minutes. The first, we didn't play so. That not means we play bad. But in the second half we changed.
Yes.
And if you analyze very quickly, the all 45 minutes, today we could score maybe 7 goals.
Wow.
The time.
Wow.
Ojma, Kumi, even now in the last minute, Taylor.
Sure.
We have a lot of chance to score. We knew that the strategy of the other team, it will be putting long balls and waiting any mistake.
Okay, I see.
And we work hard to don't give any chance for them.
Okay.
So sometimes the way they play seems that we have problems, but really we didn't have any problems.
You don't have a problem.
We controlled the match. We take 1 goal. We didn't give up.
Yeah.
We worked hard, and in the second half, I think if we make more 3 or 4 goals, it was the right result.
But let me find out from you, tactically, do you think you played against a superior side today?
No. Kotoko were an ordinary side. They weren't better than us.
Okay.
It was the howler by my goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Another howler.
Yeah.
You see, it hurts when these things happen.
Yeah.
It makes you feel sad because with all the hard work and the goalkeeper gives away such a cheap ball.
Exactly.
It's very disheartening.
Okay.
You know, it's rather unfortunate that it had to end this way, because much as he did some very good saves in the game, a goalkeeper of his stature shouldn't have let.
Do you think Dwarfs could have won the match?
Yeah, we could have won the match in the first half. We could have killed the game in the first half, but it was unfortunate. It was very, very.
But will this also derail your efforts?
It isn't going to derail anything.
Okay.
We are still going to work hard to make sure that we maintain our head above water.
Okay.
And see what's next, because we can't be losing matches like this and be thinking all is well.
I agree.
Because this is the second time such a goal has been scored against us by the same goalkeeper.
Anyway,
every song
it works for every song.
Every song, it works for every song.
Anyway, move your body. All right, so that I can read the story that's behind you. So Ghana has been ranked 95th in the just released 2021 World Happiness Report. This indicates a drop by 30 places from the 65th position last year, 2020. Ghana trails Mauritius, which is at the 50th position, Libya, which is at the 80th position, Ivory Coast, 85th, the Republic of Congo, 83rd, and Cameroon, 91st, according to the UN-sponsored report. Neighboring Nigeria has also witnessed a significant drop in ranking following a fall by 57 places to rank 116th. They ranked 59th in the 2020 reports. Meanwhile, Finland has managed to retain the title of the happiest place on earth for a fourth year running, whereas Afghanistan is the world's unhappiest place at the 149th position. So, the happiest place on earth at the moment is Finland. The unhappiest place on earth at the moment is Afghanistan, and Ghana is somewhere in the middle at 95.
Yes, 95 anymore. And I'm just looking at the World Happiness Report, and it says, so the World Happiness Report focuses on the effects of COVID-19 and how people all over the world have fared. Now, our aim was twofold. First, to focus on the effects of COVID-19 on the structure and quality of people's lives. So they're telling us how they did it. And second, to describe and evaluate how governments all over the world have dealt with the pandemic. In particular, we tried to explain why some countries have done better and than others. So that's how they actually came about the report. And the report places us at 95th position in the world, dropping 30 places.
Yeah, from 65.
Yes. So it means that a country like Libya,
they're happier.
They're happier than we are.
Yep.
That's a challenge, isn't it?
It is. Most importantly, though, I want to go to Finland.
Why?
They're number one.
But I mean, it's interesting because I think that I believe that as a country we handled COVID well. If you look at the number of deaths associated with COVID-19, all the policies that government put in place, this should not be a position. Well, but we'll come back to it. But some of you have been sharing your views on this particular issue, whether you're happy or not and how it feels. We're going for it now, and then we come back and get into a conversation on it further and activate the phone lines for you.
The woman say, okay, answer nipa when Nibegia a yosikasem or financials ya weniji. Let's uniska or peso kwa juu ni kures kanini hona dia kwa je. Timimi huna say o mana kasa ya bekano kora ya hochire se say no masasa o masa covid be boom dia best se say de no ma ekono me to me badwuma bia ma badwuma from Monday to Nyentohwe ti bede metma kwaje meni ti ene je ne de ope bet obeka hye because na ka de ni ho timimi huna say ya hochire na ma yentmenye ye ne ye kofom no.
Oh, me the idea mama ninja wo Ghana ye toaba ye betoaba president for me ye campaign I say yanka de penny akane atoaba yi wom be nya atoaba yi wom a o ke kan ma asema yes ye be che wakotum amu untimi nka o ma asem dom pe no mo ye entimi nka enti ye ni anije de watoaba yi obi de o pe no no so ayama na nso ani age be o kokan no mo be chew o traffic amu nye kwan o nye hwe edu traffic man no mo ba ben no do ma fam ko by now do obedi ma no akodu fi anajo enti me de enema mani nye Ghana.
How many jobs has been collapsed ever since this president came into power? A lot. How many youth are getting jobs? Today, the rampant of armed robberies in our country right now is very bad. How many of our journalists are safe in this country? Ask yourself, you are a journalist, he is a photographer. How many of you are safe in this country? When you talk against this government, you will be murdered, which is very bad. Are we living in a country with fear, or we are living in a country where we are supposed to be safe? The commander-in-chief of the armed forces is our president, and our vice president also has a responsibility in our police service. Where are we going? Where are we heading towards? Are we supposed to live in fear in our own country, or we are supposed to be happy in our own country? So if there is demonstration, can't Ghanaians demonstrate for their rights? How many journalists have been murdered? The one who murdered Ahmed Swali, has the culprit been found? No. So if we are unhappy in this country, we are unhappy because our country is not safe.
Our expectation hasn't been in that level, because if you claim say somebody more or less eats corruption, bath corruption, sleeps on the bed of corruption, then you come and you have even done worse than is expected of no. Then that means I see no reason why we should even vote in the first place to change the government. Because the direction in which Mama was taking this nation is more or less far better than what we are experiencing now. Because we wake up in the morning, left and right center, people are making abnormal and unusual money that they are not even working for. You understand? I'm not trying to sound pure political. I know it's a political talk I'm doing that, but I'm not trying to sound pure political. But if you weigh and compare the way this government is running this whole country, meaning if you are not part of them, you have no share in this country.
Ghana memu onye de CCI yewe yapia insesa bebre nyame adoma nyame namna na adoduma insesa nkakakra aba na emu mo ha ma adwena pa wo school no free education onhwe na nyama nkwaye sane de mafoma no ibinim ko woba no wobetine fia abusum baasa anan anawasa na bonde adusua na wosua ni na ayabasa ti yesre de onhwe na won kono straight to the first ma wakon inyiza oho mapa manim.
And that's us on the streets talking about why people are unhappy. And I'm reminded of Reggie Rockstone's song, Money Makes the World Go Round, and I believe that, so I'm going to go around for you. And you know what they say, money makes us happy. Tell me, when I have money, you can see from my face, because that's when I'm happy.
Well, yes, it's true that money makes us happy, but sometimes also when you have your peace of mind, it makes you happy.
Money gives me peace of mind.
Well, okay, not all the time.
All the time.
Money wouldn't give,
all the
doesn't always
time.
give you peace of mind, because there are times that you have money, but there's not everything that money can buy. You've read the famous L'argent ne fait pas bonheur.
What can money not buy?
Money cannot buy happiness in some instances.
Like?
Well, like you're sick, and there's no cure for your sickness. In that case, no matter how much money you have...
That's a bit extreme.
It's not extreme. So I'm just giving you an example. You asked, for example...
We are talking about right now, where we are.
I
don't know, Professor.
Well, you have been told, for instance, that even if you have money under the circumstances in this country, COVID-19 vaccines, you won't get some. we have money to buy, vaccines, don't we? But we have to depend on the UN facility to get us, because India has decided, for instance...
I mean, if you want to go the long route, if you have money, you can pay somebody who has like a British passport, become a British, go to London and then get the vaccine.
Okay, well, if you're not... Well, if you have money...
So there's a long
If you have
way.
money and you don't get the visa too, it becomes another problem. But I have a challenge with this particular report, because I'm looking at Asia, for instance. It says, look, the most notable variation across world regions of COVID-19 pandemic has been the far lower mortality rate, deaths per million, in Asia-Pacific region compared with the North Atlantic region, the US, Canada. But for us also, we've had a low mortality rate when it comes to COVID-19.
But why aren't we happy?
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm looking at the methodology and the criteria used, and I say we should be doing better.
In terms of happiness?
Happiness, because if you look at how we responded to COVID, so this year, a lot of it has been on how countries responded to COVID-19. And we responded to COVID-19, providing hot meals, doing all these things.
People lost their jobs.
They did, that's
People
true.
were not buying. Remember when we
told there were 42,000 job losses.
Yeah, remember when we went on lockdown, people couldn't sell. I remember the women in my area, those who I buy the face masks from and, my soap and my cosmetics and stuff, they had to close down, when we were on lockdown, so they couldn't sell. Those who sell wache and stuff, they couldn't sell. Things were difficult for them. So even though the government provided and, we said we were giving out money with NBSSI and all of that, a lot of people, did struggle, So I can understand why maybe people were not as happy. A lot of people have not also been able to do things that they love to do. People have not been able to travel. People have not been able to go on holiday. George Addo, for example, talks about how COVID prevented him last year from, being able to go and do the football. He would usually travel and go to Manchester and all of that, do his football stuff. He wasn't able to do that. We weren't able to do conferences. Even people like you and I who usually would do, by hosting seminars and getting our gigs from emceeing and stuff, weren't able to do that.
No, that's what we were not able to do. I mean, it was
exactly.
It was just this year that, a bit of the...
It's picking up a little
It's picking up.
Exactly.
The Kwakwa movements, what you call the galamsey.
So definitely it has affected us. So I can understand, why, why people would be sad. So, but let me pick a few of your social media messages. Javier Clanam says, how can we be happy on an empty belly? How can we be happy when the cost of living is ever skyrocketing? How can we be happy when the only time our laws work is when the ordinary Ghanaian is at fault? Saibu Sahadatu said, no, the economy is making us sad. 3 square meals a day is very difficult for majority of us. Spiritual happy, Ibn Yakubu Abdul Karim says, wealthy and happy with this kind of incompetent people managing the affairs of our country. Evan says, as for media, I'm always happy. I don't care about whatever the government of the day is doing. So long as I'm alive with God on my side, I'll always be happy. Kobe says, these people are always looking for a way to cover up our complaints. Fix the country. You say, Unye. Lavoy Wonder says, how will I be happy with unemployment, bad roads, dooms, or lack of water? Colete says, how does this reduce fuel or solve any economic issue in this country? Fix the country now. Pepra Emmanuel says, we are not happy, but who are you going to tell? So we're managing small. Foster says, I'm not yet in the country, but according to my mom and my friend's description, how the country is turning into, there's no joy at all. But wait, #JoyNews, are you also happy? Hector says, we're not happy as a nation. It's affecting our productivity and service attitude. We need to do something about it. Wasila says, I wonder which country took the last position. Afghanistan took the last position. They might be suffering, Papa. Ajay says, happy for where? Ghana. Ifya Konedu says, I'm not happy. Elik Bilim says, how do you expect us to be happy when they refuse to fix the country? Bright Sena Mensa says, nobody noticed that Jesus talking to 5,000 people without a microphone and speakers was a miracle. We only focused on the bread and fish. Baba says, anyone who is not happy should try Togo. Kojo says, even the president isn't happy, na me. Ruben says, we're fixing ourselves. No time for happiness. Nana Mreku says, no one on this earth can ever make you happy unless you're happy yourself. You're not the disappointed government. Abdul says, how can you expect people to be happy when everything is going in the wrong direction? Joshua says, how can one be happy under Akufo-Addo? Ivy says, boy, which this kind of hardness in the country now? I don't really get that. Abdul says, for me, I'm always happy because I believe in Almighty Allah. Amen to that. Joanne says it's like seeing me crying and asking me if I'm crying. Mavis says which country is leading? Finland is number 1. They're happiest. Francis says no, I'm not. Katari says how can we be happy? Kwabna Safo says how can you be happy when you receive a minimum wage of 11 cedis 88 pesos per day? Atukwamna says happy under this wicked government. Fix the country now. Is that it? Do we have any more messages? Are we just going straight to Seth? Okay, I think we're going straight to Seth Asafu. Seth is a clinical psychologist and he joins us via Zoom. Okay, hello, good morning, Seth.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Seth, good morning. Thank you for giving us your morning. Grateful that you could join us. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Are you happy?
Oh, yes, very happy.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, is happiness even a reality? Is it something that we can aspire to, or is it just a myth in the first place?
I mean, happiness exists as an emotion and also as a living experience.
Well, you do look happy. Like your face just like was really lit up. And you've got me smiling because, I mean, you look, why are you happy? Like, by now, you've eaten some kinky, bye.
I'm yet to eat the kinky, so I'll get even more happy afterwards.
I see. Okay, well, let me hand you over to Winston. Winston, do you want to?
Yes. So, Seth, I'm interested in, your description about happiness being emotional and sometimes within the physical, well-being. Let's start off with the emotional. What would constitute emotional happiness?
Emotional, well, you see, as an emotion, we have very different emotions. And we know that emotions are controlled by specific pathways in the brain. So, for instance, chemically or neurochemically, we know that happiness is as a result of the increase of serotonin and dopamine in the brain. All right? Now, from the experience perspective, a lot of things within our environment can either push us to feel happy or otherwise. And I am careful to say otherwise because there are a range of other emotions. Now, even within the emotion of happiness, you have surprise is a form of happiness. Contentment is a form of happiness. So we can look at it more as some form of spectrum. But at the end of the day, we normally look at happiness as a subjective measure of a person's well-being. Okay, it's a subjective measure of a person's well-being. That is to say, what makes one person happy might not necessarily make another person happy.
Let's look at the subjective nature of a person's well-being. And I believe that in one of the, as part of the research you do, you would have come to a conclusion about how Ghanaians feel. If you look at this subjectively, how would you say Ghanaians feel when it comes to their well-being?
I haven't conducted any research on Ghanaians, so I can't make any such pronouncements. But I can say that there are lots of frustrations from many social media posts and comments that people make. And these frustrations perhaps may not be an individual's fault. But however, we'll find a way, as humans, we have to find a way to make sense of it. Okay. Now, frustrations basically rob us of that feeling of happiness because it's like preventing you from getting to a certain goal you're looking for. And if collectively, we'll say that the human race has been affected significantly by COVID and all the secondary things that it comes with, which means more frustrations in the system. And therefore, it can make sense that happiness might be reduced.
Great. Now, and talking about the reduction in happiness, you started by saying you're a very happy person this morning. And we had a previous conversation about the role that money plays in making one happy. Tell us the importance of money in the state of happiness.
Okay. Well, you see, money in itself does not make one happy because happy is an intrinsic, it's a feeling, okay? It's an intrinsic feeling. Now, there are people who are extremely wealthy, but they are not happy because, one, perhaps they don't have the social relationships or they don't have people around them who will do anything for them. And that therefore interferes with their happiness, okay? Somebody is so wealthy, they are confused about how do I even use my money? Or how do I invest this, invest that? And those things bring about frustrations that makes it difficult for them to experience that emotion of happiness. Comes also from the point where people are extremely wealthy. They have lots of people around them. And these people, they might consider friends, but in entirety, they are not actually friends. So wealth has never been the measuring, tool for happiness. Neither is money, but it does bring a certain level of happiness. And in most cases, these kinds of happiness can be short-term and extrinsic. But true happiness is internal. It's a feeling you have, not because of something you have, but because of an experience or several experiences.
Okay. So, for instance, if I am unhappy and I want to be happy, help us understand how we go about being happy from a state of unhappiness.
Great. Now, first of all, let's understand one thing about the human mind, okay? Which is to say that the human mind is capable of actualizing many things that we think about. In fact, when we are frustrated, we tend to do a lot of what-if scenarios. And we tend to believe that things are static and things will never change, okay? Now, when that happens, we live in today, or we are in today, but we live in tomorrow. So if perhaps I'm unable to pay my rent today, and that's making me feel sad, okay? The tendency for me to start feeling and believing that I won't be able to pay tomorrow starts to rob me today of the rent, which is not even due. And so when we are trying to help people to, for example, come out of very low moods, what we do first is to correct thinking patterns and make them recognize the little light in all the darkness. And to say because there is little light, it means that we can move forward to get even brighter, more light, as it were. So there's a state of mind that has to do with happiness. Now, I also talked about an intrinsic value. So you generally find that as people accomplish their goals, there's a state of happiness that's created. So with lots of corporates that we worked with during COVID, one thing that we emphasized significantly was that change definitely brings frustrations. However, being able to start a new routine and being able to accomplish specific goals in those routines, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly, brings about an intrinsic feeling of I am moving forward, which in itself is happiness.
Okay. And so, for instance, in COVID-19, during this pandemic, there's the fear of contracting COVID-19. And for those, who also contracted COVID-19, the pain associated with it alone would not make those persons happy?
The fear of contracting COVID is real. And whether we like it or not, it puts us all in an alarm which would rob us of our happiness. But we must also understand that happiness operates on a spectrum. You can't always be happy. That'd be like you are stoned or you're on some drug that keeps you euphoric all the time. But the most important thing is being more days than not and more times than not happy or in a state of achieving your goals, etc. So when COVID started, yes, we had a significant fear of contracting COVID, and that robbed us of happiness. The lockdown even made it worse. Working from home and having to work in all these other situations made it difficult. Now let's fast forward and say that we've been able to get through this, and a lot of people are actually have been empowered. For example, like I say that now, I don't mind where I am in the world because I can teach wherever I am as a lecturer, which is good. In the past, it always had been a challenge for me. Now, that has added another level of happiness because I feel competent and I don't feel restricted.
Okay.
So it's me turning the situation to my advantage by looking at the little light within all of this.
Great. So finally, let's look at what's your reaction to the report? Now, Ghana dropped 30 places from 65 to 95.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's COVID. And many economies have been tested, And as a developing country, and we're far from being the complete or utopian country, Okay, which means that the effects of COVID would be more severe on us than on countries that we might even claim to be developed or having everything they have. If you say that a country has everything in check or going for them, so I'm not surprised. Now, these little frustrations, of course, are coming from the effects of how COVID has impacted many of us. Loss of jobs, which obviously will translate into feeling incapable because you can't make ends meet. An important thing we need to notice is happiness is also, there's a collective value in happiness, which comes from social interactions and relationships. So for many people who have been left to work virtually, that feeling, and that's why we say it's subjective. Whereas somebody might be really happy about it, other people cannot do it because when they need instant help, they might not get it. Or that whole feeling of just being able to walk to another colleague's office and just crack a joke, which is not there, is equally important. And then the effects of that on our economy, where we are having to contend with so many other challenges with utility, etc., etc. It's a complexity of issues. So I am not surprised.
Right. Okay, Seth, so before we let you go, I just want you to weigh in on a conversation that we had earlier about our exes. So this is a little off script because we are talking about happiness, but relationships form, like you said, a very fundamental part of our ability to be happy. And we had a conversation about our exes, and a lot of people had different opinions on the kind of role that our exes should play in our current relationships. So what's your take on that? Should we keep our exes in our lives, or should we take them out of our lives in order for our current relationships to thrive?
Well, I would say that it depends. There is no straightforward answer to this question. However, I believe that when you're in a relationship and the relationship ends, it's not because there's some hatred or some negativity that's been created, but it means it didn't work. But the person does not cease to be human. And so I would throw a question back and say, if you found that your ex was dying, would you let the person die on the road? They've been knocked down by a car, they're in an accident. Would you let them die? If your answer is yes, then it means that you have gone through a lot of pain, and the pain is clouding your judgment of what should be humanly done. So that pain is something that can be resolved. And once the pain is resolved, you're going to see it for what it is.
Okay. But that doesn't really answer the question, though. So should you be friends with your ex?
Why shouldn't you?
Okay, so you're with the team friends with your ex.
Exactly.
Boundaries or no boundaries?
With boundaries.
What kind of boundaries?
So you see, the fact that someone has been in such a significant relationship with you sometimes makes the person feel that they still have the same privileges that they used to have. And when you're in another relationship, so if you're married and then your ex is lurking around and then they are calling you at appropriate times that affects your partner, that is a challenge. You need to set a boundary to cut that off. So it's like saying that you're my friend, I care about you, but I am not ready to sacrifice my relationship for a behavior like calling at night or sending me inappropriate media content or basically pestering you around. Once you feel uncomfortable about it, it's something you need to set a boundary for.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think that's the general consensus with that conversation, isn't it?
Well, yes, I think so. I think that there's nothing wrong with being friends with your ex. It makes life simpler, anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Winston, did you have anything?
Yes, before we go finally, let me just find out from Seth, if he's still with us, what you do to be happy. So we've talked about all the unhappiness stuff, but in case someone is unhappy, what should that person do to be happy?
Okay. So you see, the things that make us happy are very simple. For example, sleep is one thing that makes people happy. There's a biological basis for it. When you sleep or when you take a rest, there's a release of what we call the happy hormone or the bonding hormone, oxytocin, that is released. And that is one angle. Now, exercise is also an amazing resource for happiness. What it does is, as you start to work out, like even when you take a walk, you simply can't be thinking about your problems. And so you have a temporal window of feeling, even if it's neutral, just because you are not in that mood of fear or sadness or worry, it gives a subjective feeling of wellness. So what I normally tell people, there are simple things that we can do to get happy. Also, when we set realistic goals and we're able to achieve those goals, it gives us an intrinsic value. For example, for a long time, we've been reinforcing people, my parents to say, oh, when you get this grade, I'll give you this. When you get this grade, I'll give you this. It got to a point where I didn't need any incentive to want to perform, because I'd now become happy with the fact that I was able to achieve maybe these grades, or work to these milestones, that it just pushes you or propels you forward because you feel you are able to move or you are progressing.
Okay. Thank you.
So sleep, exercise, and achieving some realistic goals.
Awesome.
And of course, good food.
Oh yes, and good food too. Of course, not the foods that give us. So you see, generally when you eat, okay, there's a release of dopamine, which makes you feel happy. So there's a hit there. However, sometimes people start to cope with eating. Yeah. And that's problematic, because then you start to overeat, and then it comes with its own set of complications. So eating a well-balanced diet obviously makes you happy. Just it's like brain fuel. So eat the right food, because you can have fuel that is good and you can have terrible fuel, but they all make the car move. But at some point, one will develop more complications. So generally, we'd encourage lots of greens, foods that, we'd limit the amount of processed foods or foods that are high in fats and sugars. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. I'll give you a call. I have a few things to talk about, so I will give you a call. I've collected your number from Echo. So looking forward to that.
Okay.
All right.
Have a great day, and always keep smiling.
We'll try. We'll try.
Thank you very much, Seth, for joining us. I knew you were going to add the food bit. It's important.
Food, of course. Food is very important.
I know.
Fufu and KK and cats.
Oh, KK and some Joseph isn't bad at all.
Oh, God.
You're whetting my appetite.
And Joseph in more ways than one is very important.
Joseph in what?
In more ways than one is very important.
Very, very important. Very, very important.
Yes. So there you have it. We've given you a few tips on how to be happy. If you're having a tough time, out there, get some sleep this weekend, get some exercise, eat well, spend time with the people you love, spend some time with your friends, your family, and take it easy on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. We're all trying, so don't be too hard on yourself, and set some realistic goals and work hard to achieve them. Speaking of goals and achieving them, NSMQ, we're going to do that right after this.
Right, so welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. So yesterday was the final of the National Science and Maths Quiz Central Region. Now, we know that Wesley Girls was not in the final, but their boys made them happy. Okay, the boys, actually did them proud by winning the competition after they beat Adisadel.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.
Thank you very much, Enimua, for that wonderful chorus there.
Emphatic chorus.
Yes. So they beat, Adisadel College University Practice Secondary School. and they did Asin State College. So, Fantsmen boys,
we shall never be defeated.
They have been defeated. I mean, Adisco said it's never happened. They cannot lose to Fantsmen. Well,
and they
lost to Fantsmen.
Oh, what a while.
And so, yesterday, for all of you who called us praying that Disadel wins university practice or Asin College, well, it didn't happen. Fantsmen won. But anymore, your take on this briefly. Yes, we know that you were not in the final. I mean, that's settled. But,
so what's take again?
No, you can talk about the fact that your boys have won. I mean,
it speaks for itself. I'm going to be gracious about it and just congratulate them. And very well done for beating Adisco, especially. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy they won. I would have loved it if, say, University Practice Secondary School or Asin College won. Because yesterday when we started, I said I wanted Fantsmen to win, but I changed my mind because somebody said, look, if Asin State College wins, if University Practice wins, it would get more people choosing these schools and not, crowding.
Okay.
So that's what I actually said.
Gives them more exposure, boosts morale.
And, then it would be opening up the country.
I get that.
Yeah. So that's why, I actually said I'd have loved that. I'd have loved to see one of them win. But Maxwell Agbagba has a report on the NSMQ Central Region Finals.
I don't know, Biara. I know Boche. I know Kenya. I know Noite. Easy. Designer, Boche Bessa. Designer. Me say designer, Boche Bessa. Boche Bessa. Designer, Boche Bessa. Designer, Boche Bessa. I said the organ of Boche we get size. No size. Boche na one. Boche. Boche na two. Boche. Na three. Boche. Na half. Na 1.5. Boche. Boche, it's killing me. It's killing me. Boche, it's killing me.
It's in Fantsmen School. We are the Central Region champions. Fantsmen School put up a spirited performance during the championship. They beat Wesley Girls High School, they beat Augusto, they beat Swasco to qualify to the finals. And at the finals today, they are the champions. They have won. They are the Central Region champions. And they say that all the schools in Ghana should watch out for them at the Nationals later in October. To an odd boy. Let's speak to a mobile. Which year?
94.
Okay, tell me, what is the feeling like for you right now?
I'm very, very happy. I became happy yesterday when we beat Augustins. Because Augustins, they are our rivals. And now I decided to push it to become our rivals. So since we have beat Augustins, even if you couldn't win the championship, like we'll be happy. For Augustus, anywhere you meet them, they should get prepared.
Okay, you are telling me that because of the NSMQ, people were saying your boys were not good. Okay.
Yes, I was saying our boys were not good, but we are going to show them that from now onwards, we have boys who are better.
What should we expect in the national championship?
A better team from us.
Better teams from you.
And we are coming for the first position.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Let's speak to another MOBA. MOBA which year?
MOBA 94.
are colleagues.
Okay.
And we are in the same enterprise, Ghana Education Service.
Okay.
But unfortunately, he teaches at Mfanspim. I teach at this other college.
Yeah.
The only college with the zebra.
Oh, okay.
Even though my spirit is in Mfanspim,
yeah.
I cannot deny them anything, but that is it. Professionally, I'm at this other college, and I support them in that fight. That is it. They deserve it. They deserve it. This time they have come out strongly. But we are going to do our homework, and we know Mfanspim will beat them in the final, grand finale at Accra.
Okay,
we'll meet at Legon. Yes,
okay.
we meet at Legon and we'll beat them.
Okay.
They know, they are aware we are going to beat them there. And they deserve it. They have to cheer. They have to be happy for this performance, wonderful performance. In fact, we have learned a lesson from there, and based on this, we are going to prepare.
Okay. You have the coordinator also here.
It's been a long journey. 2019, we lost it. We went out at the first stage. 2020 is the same thing. We lost out at the first stage. And therefore, it's been a long, winding journey. But we say that with hard work, preparation, and God's grace, we have made it this far. And we are grateful to God.
Okay. What should we expect at the Nationals in October?
I have told you right from the beginning that we take it one step at a time. We don't send the information to any other school to watch out or something, but we take it a contest at a time. Okay. And that is what we have been doing, and that's what we continue to do.
Okay.
The glory of Mfanspim never vanished. Yes, the glory of Mfanspim never vanished. So we are not redeeming it. We are just showing it to everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So it's an amazing feeling to be here, and we've said it right from the beginning that everything is by grace. We started with God and we've ended with God. Before this contest, we prayed to our Lord, and He didn't let us down. He has heard us. And well, we've been learning and we've been preparing, but we know that this win is not ours, but.
All right, so there you go. There you have it.
Yes.
Mfanspim emerging winners in the Central region when it comes to the national
Congratulations
science.
to them.
Congratulations to them. I like their morale. The young boys trying to raise the morale. It's good.
Even though we didn't understand the German that they were singing.
Easy.
Say what?
Yeah, designer, but you better designer. Not bad. One of the problems with morale raising is that it's made it difficult when you go to church. I know the boys will understand. When you